It's a competition clinching shot. Whoa! How about that?
The LET Golf Podcast, the official podcast of the Ladies European Tour.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the LET Golf Podcast. I'm George Cooper, joining you this week from the beautiful Galgorm Castle Golf Club, as we're in Northern Ireland for the ISPS Hander World Invitational presented by Aviv Clinics. It's a special week where both Galgorm and Castle Rock Golf Club will stage two separate 72-hole tournaments for both the men on the DP World Tour and the women on the LET and the LPGA Tour, with both tournaments offering an equal prize pool of $1.5 million. It's sure to be a fun event, and with us being in Northern Ireland, we thought it was only appropriate to have home favourite Olivia Mehaffey joining us on the podcast as she comes in as an invite this week. Both Nicola Kenton and I chatted to Olivia from outside the clubhouse of the stunning Galgorm earlier today, where the local player talked openly about her prolific amateur career, her friendships with Leona Maguire and Linn Grant, and the hardships of losing her father to cancer just before LETQ school 2 years ago. It's a very honest and open interview, which I hope you'll all enjoy very much. So without further ado, this is Olivia Mehaffey on the LET Golf Podcast.
Olivia, well, very nice to have you joining us here at the ISPS Hander in Northern Ireland, your home country. How are you feeling ahead of this week?
Yeah, I'm excited. I just want to go out there and have a good time. That's like my main goal, is to enjoy it. It's not that often you get to play with all your friends and family and favourite people watching you. So yeah, I've got a great caddy on the bag this week, Joe, and I just want to go out and have a really good time with him.
And you mentioned before that you're staying at home this week, a luxury of obviously having a tournament very close to home. What is it like sleeping in your own bed and, as you mentioned earlier, going to the best restaurants because you know exactly where to eat?
Yeah, it's really nice. I was just thinking, like, I would love this to be every week. I think you feel a wee bit more relaxed. Like, even like just going into my gym and stuff, like I went in and people were like, "You're not playing a tournament this week," and I'm like, "I am." So it's just really nice, and like to sleep in your own bed. And then just the 2 days we're at Castle Rock, I stayed up one night at the practice round, and then again just before the tournament because it's a little bit of a drive, but it's just so nice. It's just, I think it makes you feel a little bit more relaxed.
And here at this tournament in 2021 was when you played on the LET and the LPGA for the first time. So how many special memories does this place hold?
Yeah, it is really special for me. I think that was probably still one of my favourite weeks in my career. Played quite nicely, had all my friends and family there, and I think this event will always feel a little bit special because of that. I feel like it's really where I sort of, in a way, got my pro career started.
And as you mentioned, Castle Rock, different course this year. We're used to playing at Galgorm, but linksy style at Castle Rock, and looks like it might be a bit windy towards the end of the
the weather forecast is not looking great. Yeah, it's really nice. I love links golf. I think it's a really fun test, and I think to get to play both in 1 week, it's quite unusual. So I think you have to adapt quite fast. Obviously, you know, you've got softer greens, firmer greens, faster greens, slower greens. So there's got that element of a challenge, which I think is really fun. So I think it's going to be a good test, and if it blows what it's supposed to blow, it's going to be a really good test.
And just final one from me about playing at home. I mean, what is the best thing about playing at home? Like, I'm always curious about that one.
Okay, I feel like I have to say having like the home support, like friends and family out watching. I kind of want to say my bed as well, but I'm going to go with having all my friends and family out there cheering me on.
Good answer. And on the LET podcast then, we like to go back in time a little bit, and we were always curious to how our players started the game. So just tell us about your story. How did you get into golf?
Yeah, I started really young. I started when I was 6 years old. I loved it from the start. Played other sports, tried everything, but nothing really sort of stuck with me the way golf did. I went on a lot with my dad and my brother. And then I was really competitive with my brother. I just wanted to beat him. I remember every Saturday going to competitions like, okay, I have to get cut 1.6 shots to get lower than him. Or so it was always that competitive drive with my brother, which really sort of maybe kept me in it. But I fell in love with the game since I was so young.
And what age was this that you started?
I started when I was 6.
6.
So yeah, really young.
Yeah. And when did it get to like serious? When were you like, okay, I could make something of this?
I feel like when I was like 11 or 12, I got my first Irish cap when I was 13. I remember losing a tooth on the plane on the way there. And these girls were sort of like, why is this little child with us on this trip? They were all like 17, 18, and they were like, you know, they thought they were really cool. And I was just like a little child that was sort of tagging along. So yeah, I'd say I was pretty well ahead of my age group at a young age.
That must have been a big help then, playing, especially with the older girls.
Yeah, I think like travel wise as well, like, you know, when I got to like 17, 18, I was like, oh, I can travel by myself. I don't need anyone. I'm so used to doing it. I know what I'm doing. And I think maybe the independence of growing up, I feel like I grew up quite fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that always strikes me about you is you had a very prolific amateur career. So let's just go through that. I mean, tell us about some of your memories and some of the tournaments that really stood out.
Yeah, I mean, fortunate enough to have a great amateur career. Represented Ireland for many years, represented Great Britain and Ireland for a long time, got to play a couple Curtis Cups, and then had some really good wins in Europe, had some college wins, and spent most of my amateur career at the top 10 amateur world rankings, which is something I was very proud of. Felt like I was just a very consistent player, and I think it's strange when you turn pro, because it's like all of that sort of it matters, because you have that confidence and sponsors and those type of things, but you're sort of starting again and you have to prove yourself all over again in a completely different stage. So it's great to have a great amateur career, but you feel like you're almost writing a new chapter when you turn pro.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the pro career in just a moment, but I know you played in the PING Junior Solheim Cup as well in 2015, and I was looking at the names on that list yesterday, like, wow, that was a star-studded field. I mean, Nelly Corder was obviously playing on the US side, we had Alba Valenzuela, Anna Pelayo, I think, was playing, yourself. Just tell us about some of the memories from that tournament.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favourite memories. It was incredible. I think, being on such a strong team, playing against so many great players, and then obviously the element, the big bonus of that event, I guess, is getting to stay on to watch the Solheim, and you get to go into the European team room and you're like mixing with your idols. I remember like Suzanne Pettersson coming up to us, and she was so nice, and I was just in awe the whole week. And I've been a huge fan of so many of the girls. There was 3 girls from Arizona State on the team, and I knew I was going there, and just to spend some time with them, it was amazing. And I think getting to watch the Solheim Cup inside the ropes, I think weeks like that, it's why everybody wants to play the Solheim, because you're like, this is just incredible. So so many great memories from that week.
Yeah, and what are the parties like at those? I heard that because we had who was it? Ale Finale came on. And she said that they got invited to the parties as well, even in the PING Junior Solheim Cup, and she was there dancing alongside some of the pros. So what was it like for you?
I didn't think we were as well as what she's saying. I think we were quite sensible.
She's revealing all the secrets.
Yeah, we were more keen on getting out and watching everybody and trying to get underneath the ropes and be as loud as we could. So I think, and then we went into the European team room, and of course everyone's a little bit shy, and we're sort of like, oh, we're in awe, all our heroes are around us. So I think we were maybe a little bit more sensible than what Ali was.
Good answer. And who was your big golfing hero then, would you say?
I'd say I really looked up a lot to Carlotta Saganda, and it's nice because she was at Arizona State, and then I went to Arizona State, and I remember the first time she was in town practicing, and I was like first year in college, and she was like on the other side of the chipping green, and I was like, I can't leave the building, like she's over there. And then one of my friends who played on tour, she was like, Carlotta needs a hat, do you have any in your locker? And I went to get one, and I handed it to her. She goes, no, you have to go over and give it to her yourself. So I walked over to her, like handed the hat, and couldn't walk away any faster. But it's actually funny because we're pretty good friends now. Like she's someone I've really looked up to. I love the way she plays. I love how passionate she is. So I think when you get to meet people that you've looked up to for a long time and become friends with them, it's really cool.
Absolutely.
And in terms of Arizona State, as you said, you knew that you were going at that point. Why ASU?
I think I wanted to get as far away from the weather at home as possible. I knew it was going to be hot, desert heat, and so many great players have been there. I think that was probably the main thing for me, was you look at all the players they've produced and you think, okay, they're doing something good there. So that was probably the main thing, the weather, and then also the players. They were always like a top 10 team, and I knew it was going to be very competitive, and that's sort of what I wanted to do. I wanted to develop my golf and play against the best players.
And in terms of your years that you had there, what was it like just being part of college golf, as you say, going around to playing different competitions, being part of the team? What was that whole experience like?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It was incredible. I think you grow up a lot. You're moving so far away from home. You can't just call and be like, okay, I need help with my car. Like you're really on your own. So I think it helps you grow up a lot. I think you learn a lot of time management. You have to balance playing golf, traveling on the road, and then you're also doing your degree. So I think I maybe underestimated how much work the school was. So before I went, I was sort of thinking, I'll do 2 years. And then I was like, okay, I'm working really hard in school. I really want to have my degree. Like that's something someone can never take away from you. So I was like, okay, I'll do my degree. And then I got close to turning pro. My 3rd year I played really well, and then I fell and broke my hand, and then COVID happened, and then I was there for 5 years, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been here for ages. They can't get rid of me. But no, it was incredible. I think I really learned a lot about myself. And then as a golfer as well, you're playing on a lot of different grasses. You've got faster greens than what we have in Europe as well. So I think you'll learn and develop a lot more as a golfer as well.
And as you mentioned there, yeah, your third year, you were going to go to LPGA school, you're going to do that whole thing, turning pro, and then what happened? You broke your hand.
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
Oh, it was the week before the British Amateur, and it was at Royal County Down, my home course. And everybody was so excited. And I had just won 3 times in college. I was playing so good. And then I fell and broke my hand, and I was like, this can't be real life. And I was exempted to the British Open as well. I was like, okay. And then I think, after that, I think you learn that you really can't plan anything in life. Like, you just don't really know what's around the corner. So, at the time, it felt like my world had ended, right? But things move on, and I had to have a surgery, and then you recover and you get back playing, and then you realize, okay, there's going to be plenty more of these moments in my career.
And what was that like? As you said, you went from that, and then the COVID happened. So did you move home during that period, or did you stay in Arizona?
Yeah, no, we left. It was like this, I don't know, I think we're going to look back in a lot of years and be like, what was that? But I was like, get out of America now, everybody's gotta go. So we go home, and then it's like this strict lockdown. I'm like, I wish I stayed in America. Like, you could sort of, their version of a lockdown didn't really seem like one. But no, I came home, and then I felt like I was home for ages. And then it was weird. Like, I feel like we sort of, I actually, you know what? Then we went back to America. There was no college golf in the fall, and then I was in 3 majors. So it was this really weird schedule where I played the British Open, and then the ANA had been moved. So I played the ANA 2 weeks later, and then I practiced for like 3 months, and the US Open was just before Christmas. I was like, okay, I've played no tournaments, and I've just come into 3 majors. This is just so weird. But yeah, it was just a strange time for everyone, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then going into, as you say, your final year at ASU, and knowing that you're going to turn professional at the end of that time, what was that final semester like?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it's like I built myself up for turning pro for so long, and I sort of thought, okay, maybe I'll do it. I would have done it 2 years before I did, and then I think it becomes almost harder. It's like you're building up. Okay, you're not going yet. Okay, you're building up, you're not going yet. And then it feels like I think I got a bit more stressed than I would have liked, because it was like you've spent your whole life waiting forward to this moment, and then there's just so much going on, and then I had personal stuff going on, and it just felt all like a really bad timing in a way, and it wasn't as smooth as I would have liked, let's say.
Yeah. But you did play at this tournament, as you said before, that summer. So you got a good tournament out of the way, top 20 on the LPGA and the LET for the first time. And then going to Q schools. Now, Q schools are not nice for everyone. Everyone says on this podcast how much they detest the 2 weeks.
No,
it's not fun. I don't recommend it.
But it's something that every golfer has to go through. How did you find those experiences? Because I know obviously LPGA Q school was in the summer, so that was a little bit different. But LET Q school was a difficult time.
Yeah, it was all quite tough, because I was in America for such a long time. I was in America. Normally the college season ends in May. I think I stayed out there till like July. So I've been home for ages, and then I got home, and then obviously I knew my dad was sick, but then you see, oh my gosh, she's deteriorating. So you see how bad things are. And then I played that week in Northern Ireland, and then I think I went back to America after that. I got an invite into Portland, and the LPGA, played pretty solid, made the cut. And then Q school second stage, and I was a mess. Like the week before, I went with Leona to Lake Nona, and I couldn't even hit the golf ball. Like, it was the weirdest experience of my life. I was so stressed, anxiety. Like, we were at a basketball game, and I was like, I don't even know where my head was. It was just not there. So I went and played stage 2 of Q school, and it was awful. And then actually I look back, and you know what, I'm glad I didn't make it, because I stayed at home. I was with my dad. I cared for him, took a little bit of time off golf, and then LETQ school was coming up. So I knew I wasn't on the LPGA, like was my initial plan, obviously. And then came home, was home, LETQ school, preparing for that, start to prepare for that. And then my dad goes downhill really, really fast. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to go to Q school, and I don't have any status anywhere else. What am I going to do next year? So you're like in two minds. You're like, okay, I'm about to lose my dad, but then I'm also going to have nothing next year. I really don't know. So I'm a mess. And my dad said to me, he was like, can you just promise me one thing? He goes, can you promise me that whatever happens, you go to LETQ school? And I'm like, how am I going to go to LETQ school and play golf? So I was sort of hoping, like, I really hope Q school's before he passes and I can get through that. And then I know I'm not in a good space anyway, but like, and then he just goes downhill so fast, and I lost him on the Friday. I was supposed to fly on the Saturday to Q school, and I'm like, I can't go. And my mum's like, you promised him you're going to get on that plane. So I changed my flight, flew out late to Q school, And I was like to my mum, like, I can't tell anyone. Like, I can't, right? Because I'm like, I don't want to go on the padding green and someone come up to me and then I'm going to start crying. And I'm like, right, I just have to be so sheltered this week. I just have to just, you're here for your dad. You're here to play golf. You go home and then you can deal with it. So I got to Q school and it was so tough. I hadn't even told my college coach in America, none of my friends. The only people that knew were the people in Northern Ireland who knew my dad at my golf club. Or I told my caddy that week, whatever. So I remember on the putting green before I went out to play, one of my friends who I hadn't seen in years comes up to me and she's like, oh, how's your family? Are they all good? They all good? And I was like, yeah, all good. And then I walked to the tee and I'm like, oh, just get through this. And the hard thing with Q school, it's not 1 week. So the first week I'm like, okay, I'm getting through this. And then there's that little break and then you play the second week and I'm like, okay, I'm away from home for 2 weeks. Like I'm struggling here. So anyway, I make it through and was in pretty good position and doubled the last hole, missed my full tour record by one stroke. And I'm getting like these messages like, oh, Olivia chokes, oh, blah, 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 all of this stuff. I'm reading it on Twitter. I'm like, they have no idea. So I was actually so proud of myself. I was so proud that I went there. I was so proud that I actually managed to get some form of status. Like, I mean, I was actually really, really impressed with myself to have the strength to be there. And then you read these horrible things, which is now I don't read anything about myself. And I posted on social media and then I had a few messages of the people that said it and was like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. You're so tough. You're so strong. And I'm like, I learned so much through that time because you never really know what's going on because like that's the biggest thing that I've ever lost in my life and then nobody knows what's going on and they say those things. But that was probably the toughest experience. That's probably the strongest I've ever had to be. And I hope I don't have any experiences as hard as that was because that was just the 2 weeks of hell. Q school's brutal enough and then you do that. But I think for me, I learned a lot from it and I learned how strong I am and, you know, you can get through anything. You just really have to like go for it. So and then obviously I did things wrong. I look back, you don't know how you're going to react, you don't know about the grief, all of that side of things. And I decided to fly to America 4 days after New Year's and I went to America and I just practiced so hard for like 3 months. I would like go to the gym in the morning, I would go to practice, I would come home, I would go to the gym again, I would go to bed, and I didn't really want to socialize, didn't want to talk to people. I was like, go, don't think about life. And then I remember I played this crazy stretch. I played in Arizona and Epsom, and then I flew straight to South Africa, played the 2 weeks in South Africa, flew to, I think we were Australia after Thailand, 2 weeks in Thailand, then through to Australia, 2 weeks in Australia, flew to Spain, 1 week in Spain, and then I top 10 in Spain. And then and I didn't go. I was like, I can't go. And I walked home. I remember I got home. I walked through the front door and I was like ready to go down to my mum and dad's room to like tell my dad about, oh, I played really good last week, got top 10, like it's great. Like I was in pretty good order of merit. I played quite well actually. And then I go down and I was like, oh my gosh. And I think I spent like 4 months thinking like my dad, I was just going to go home. It was like I had went to America to work. I'd traveled for work. And then I got home and it hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've lost my dad. Like, and it was, oh my gosh, I just had this realization and I actually couldn't go into my parents' room because all I could see was like, obviously my dad's sick in the bed and then all I could see was him in his coffin and I had these like flashbacks. So then I'm starting to get like this panic, this anxiety, everything. And I'm like quite a bubbly, like chatty person. And then, you know, you feel like you're putting on a mask every day you go out. And I came back on tour after that. And oh my gosh, I couldn't do it. Like I pushed myself. And then people around me started to notice it. I had my family being like, can you please take time off? You're not yourself. You're quiet. You don't want to socialize. I was like scared to go out and play golf with people. I was scared to see people. Like it was not me at all. And then took some time off and did a lot of work and I feel like I'm in a much better place, which is why it's actually really nice to be here this year because I was in such a bad place here last year and to be here and whatever happens on the golf course happens and trying my best, that's all I can do. But to see the work I've put in mentally to be in such a better place, I think it's nice to see that it's paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And what did you have to do when you kind of took a step back and go, okay, I need to sort this out? What was the first step?
Well, it was weird. Like I told myself that I wasn't allowed to come back to golf until I figured myself out away from golf. And that's really hard for me because I love golf. Like even when I was playing bad, I just would still want to go out and play like, you know, 9 holes, whatever. So I think that was probably the hardest part. So I took 6 weeks off. I actually had to go over to America with my mum to move out of my apartment. So we did that and came back and everyone was sort of pushing me like, who are you working with? You working with someone yet? Like, you know, whatever. And I was like, I'm not ready. Like I'm really not ready. And that was probably the best thing I did, because I just sort of had these like 7-8 weeks of just like nothing. And I was just like, I felt empty, but I didn't really know how to handle it. And then I started to work with someone when I felt like the time was right, and sort of introduced golf in again slowly. And my coach was amazing. Like, he was so supportive. He was like, I'm so glad you've taken this time off. You needed to. And then we came back to play, and he was like, we're just going to do it slowly. We're going to have fun. And then I felt like I was sort of getting a good team around me again, and I had them supporting me, had my family supporting me, was working with someone on the mental side, and that was great. And I think, waiting until I was ready was probably the most important thing. I don't think if I went in to talk, I was ready to talk about it yet. It still wasn't at the stage where I could talk about it.
And I know that you've also started your website with your blog, and how's that been as a creative outlet?
It's been great. I mean, when I took the time off, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, and thankfully one of my sponsors in America was like, I was told him what I wanted to do. He was like, I really think you should do it. And I decided to do it. And it's been actually probably one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, because I've had so many people message me and be like, that's really helped me. I've been in a similar situation, and I felt that. And I think it's probably actually one of the things I'm most proud of doing, because it's not an easy thing to do, to put everything out there, like to open yourself to criticism, to open yourself to, there's people everywhere behind a keyboard saying whatever they want to say. So I think to know you've made a difference and you can help, and my experience has helped, I think that's probably been one of the most rewarding things that I've actually ever done. And the reason I did it for two reasons. I did it to help people, and then I also did it to help myself, because I feel like you write about it, you get it out. That was my big thing. I didn't talk to anyone for so long, and I was like, okay, no, I'm working with someone, I'm talking about it, and then I'm actually like putting it out there. So it's been great. I actually enjoy doing it as well. I really like writing, and I feel like it had its purpose, which was good.
And in terms of coming back on tour this year, when was the point where you kind of went, okay, I think I'm ready, I'm getting close, I can return?
I wasn't sure if I was going to be ready in Kenya, and I was like, you know what, like, you just have to try. So I was like, I'm going to go for it, and came out in Kenya and actually made the cut, which was like, I was not expecting it at all. And it was nice because I was on the cut line playing the last few, and I managed to sort of hold it together. I was like, okay, this is good. And then struggled a little bit, missed quite a few cuts, but I felt like it was sort of getting closer. It was really interesting because the stuff I struggled with on the golf course made its way off the golf course, made its way onto the golf course. Like, I had the anxiety and the panic and all of that sort of stuff. Like, I felt like I was in a panic attack, and then I would go on the golf course and I would have the same sensation with like an iron or a driver, and I'm like, it's just golf, even when I was playing with my friends. So I had a lot of work to do, because I felt like I was working on myself as a person, and then all of these things crept into my golf. So then I've got this battle as well. So managed to get sort of through that, started work with a sports psychologist for golf, and he was a great addition. And then felt like, around Evian time, okay, starting to feel better, missing the cut by a couple of shots, but it's getting better, and see him, and then had those nice finishes. And now I'm like, okay, I feel like, I feel like I'm in a great place off the golf course, getting things tidier with my game. So I feel like I'm really excited for the rest of the season now.
I'd say the fact that you have obviously Northern Ireland this week and Ireland the week after next as well, is that so helpful that it's two tournaments at home for you?
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, it's good, like, as well, like, in terms of golf, my coach will come out to watch, my sports psychologist will come out to watch. So I think that's a really, like, it's a good luxury. You don't get that often. So I think in terms of them observing what they see and us improving for the rest of the season, I think that's one of the beauties of playing at home, is they can see it for themselves. So that's great. And yeah, I think in terms of, being in a good place, and I mean, I know I won't enjoy any more weeks as much as these two, because it's so nice to have that home feel and home support. So it's really nice.
And you mentioned your support system there in terms of, your coach and your psychologist. What about sort of the players on tour? I know you said about Leona before, Leona Maguire, but who are the sort of the players you've turned to, or the players that have reached out to you, do you find?
Yeah, you know what? It's actually been so nice. Like, I really wasn't expecting it, but like, honestly, like, the LET is actually just so nice. Like, even when I took the time off, I withdrew from Scafto and I called Polly, one of the TDs, and I was like literally crying on the phone. She probably couldn't even have heard a thing I was saying. And then I had a couple calls from some of the staff in the LET, and I was like, this is really nice. Like, I didn't expect anyone to reach out. It was like, I just felt like I will just go into it. And I think, it's been so good. A lot of the older girls who've been on tour for a long time, they've been so helpful. And I feel like you could go to anyone out here and just be like, can you help me with this? Or where do I go? Or where do I do this? And everybody's really, really nice. So I feel like it's been great. Obviously, if I need anything, I always go to like Leona. I trust her a lot. But like any of the girls, I feel like I go to ask them for anything, and you know they would really want to help you, which I think is one of the nicest things on the LET, is that like family feel.
And then staying on this season, obviously it was out in Germany that you had a really good first round, and sort of, you know, the story was heightened, I guess, in terms of, you know, where you were at with your game. So just tell us about that week and what you learned from that week, and then moving on to Finland as well, where you had a great finish.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting it. I had just come off the back of quite a few missed cuts, and then I just changed my driver the Friday before. And I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And then I went out to play and I was like, okay, this is really good. So no, it was really nice. It's nice to see it come together. I mean, obviously it's been tough for me because I've had such a successful amateur career, and then I haven't had the pro career that I wanted. But I feel like I'm sort of seeing little like glimpses of it. And I feel like when I put it together, you know, I had those moments in Germany, and then Finland was pretty solid, except for I didn't get off to a good start. I think I was like 100th after, like, before we went out to restart again. I think I'm starting to see a lot of glimpses in my game, which is really nice. And you know, I think when you've got the CV and you've got those successful amateur moments, you can draw on those, but I think you want to create them again in the professional ranks. So it's really exciting to see, like, to have some good finishes, and I think it just gives you confidence to build on for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And I mean, what is that transition like, and what is the biggest difference between the amateur ranks and the pro life?
It's, I mean, obviously a lot more travel. There's a lot more like responsibility, like, you know, sponsors and caddies, and organising your own travel and all of those things. And I think it's a lot to learn at the start, even like how you like to do your practice rounds. I know it sounds so stupid, but like, do you like to play 18 holes? Do you like to do 9 holes? Like, when do you like to get to the tournaments? Like, all of those little things that you don't think about because you're just told where to be. You literally show up at the airport and you don't know a thing. So I think, like, pro golf's obviously got that bit more responsibility, but I mean, I feel like I'm not a great person to ask about the transition from amateur to pro, because I had so much going on in my personal life that I feel like I can't give anybody advice, because I was so clouded and I had so many other battles, and it's hard enough when everything's going well. I think a lot of people do struggle with that transition. So yeah, I think it's just a lot more responsibility.
Yeah. And with this sort of, I guess, clearer headspace that you're in now, and with your game trending in the right way, have you had a chance to sort of sit down and say, okay, these are now my goals moving forward on tour?
Yeah, I feel, you know, expectations, I think it's like the worst thing in times, because you start to have a few good weeks, and you think, oh, I want to win every week, I want to come top 10 every week. And obviously it doesn't happen like that. It's just not, you know, everybody has good weeks and bad weeks. I think for me, I'm really, really focused on improving areas of my game. Like, I'm doing a lot of work on the mental side of things. I'm trying to make sure I make less mental errors. And then in terms of my game, a lot of focus on the long game with my coach, trying to hit, like, breaking the dispersion in. And then the other thing is just to really enjoy it and to go out there and love what I do, because I'm really lucky to get to do this. But in terms of like winning tournaments or order of merit or those things, I don't have anything this year. I know when next year will definitely be something I'll be like, I want to get here, because I did do that a lot. But I feel now if I sort of take care of those little things and I make sure that I'm good, then I think the results will sort of take care of themselves.
Yeah. And in terms of like the mental side of it, how often for example, like, how often did you meet with your coach? How, you know, I'm just curious sort of the regularity of these
Well,
things.
I feel like we've had to do so much work, so I literally feel like I'm on the phone to him every day. I'm like, this poor guy is fed up. David, he sees my name and he's like, you have to answer this. I call him every day, literally. I feel like he's like my best friend now. So no, I at the minute we're still sort of in a transition. We're still working on a lot of things. So I speak to him after every round. I'll let him know how my practice round went, how things felt, our goals for the week. I feel like he's probably the most crucial person for me right now, like more than my swing coach, because I feel like that's sort of the area that I had been struggling with. So yeah, he gets a lot of phone calls from me.
And you touched in the press conference about, in terms of your game, you're working on like long side of the game. So just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, like just like mainly long game for me. I still feel like my game's in a place where I need to hit a lot more fairways, a lot more greens. I've always had a very good short game, like a decent putter. That's sort of my strength. So I think sort of just fine tuning the long game and making sure that like swing's stable. Obviously we play so many weeks in a row, so making sure the maintenance is there and I have a good understanding for when my coach isn't there, so I can sort of tweak things myself.
In terms of kind of moving away from the golf course, even though I know you love golf and love what you do, I've heard a nickname a couple of times today that Leona and other people have said. Well, what is your nickname that people like to call you?
I was going to say, what are people calling me behind my back that I don't know if I got a nickname going? I seem like everybody just calls me Liv.
Yeah.
I used to get called Olive when I was young, and I hated it. Like, it was like the whole team Ireland. And I know I bump into someone from like when I was on the Ireland team. When I hear Olive, I'm like, oh, I hate it. So thankfully when I went to America, I got Liv, so I like that a bit more.
Just short, easy then. But what do you like to do when you're not on the golf course? What do you do to have fun?
Yeah, I just like spending time with my friends. I sound so boring when I say these things, but I just like being with my friends. Like, I love going for walks. I love being outside. Anything to do with like being outside, I absolutely love it. I like shopping as well, don't we all? And then I just feel like going out for nice meals, friends and family. That's probably the most important, and where I have my most fun.
And what's the best place you've been shopping whilst you've been on tour?
Oh, you know what was actually really good was Thailand.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say
amazing.
that.
We were staying right across from a mall.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That
I
mall
was
was
in
great.
H&M every day, and they had stuff that we don't have. I was like, this is absolutely brilliant. So Thailand that was like I wasn't expecting it, but I was like, oh yeah.
I'm going to be pushing for the Thailand events now.
Oh,
yeah, it's good.
That mall is great.
The mall's literally right there. It's like dangerous.
It's
and it's too hot outside, so you're like, no pool, like we're going to the mall.
Aircon in the mall. That's what happens. But I did think you were going to say that, so I'm glad we agree on that one. And we know that you like to have these little surges with your rounds. You've done it a few times where you just loads of birdies in a row and then stop. Why do you think you're the type of player who's able to do that, suddenly gets on a roll and uses momentum?
Yeah, I feel like confidence is a big thing for me. Like, it's something that I struggle with, that I wish I could be more confident. Like, I could just stand up there and be like, but like when I've just got it going on, I feel like, I'm normally putting good on those days. So I'm just like, if I'm putting good, then as long as I keep it somewhat in the planet, I can hold a lot of putts. But I think like since I was young, like a lot of people struggle when they've got a score going. I actually like don't really know my score a lot of the time, so that probably helps when you get to those like 7 or 8 unders and you don't really know what you're at. Sometimes I feel like I'm like 4 under, and then I get in, I'm like, oh, that was good. So I think when you get into that mindset, I think it helps you go low and have the birdies.
I think I need to do that. I pay way too attention to my score, and it's just like, probably...
That's why you did. George played Walton Heath on Monday. And the media day, and I said he was going to get 88.
I just wanted to break 90, like that was my...
No, did you shoot like 91 or something?
He was on track.
I was way on track, and then I finished double, triple, put it into the grandstand on 18.
Oh, no.
The pressure got to me. I could hear Nicola in my head like 88, 90.
And what did you shoot?
94 in the end.
You were
It was
close.
like-
That was terrible finish.
This is out there now.
There you go. It's all right. You just have to stop thinking about the score. Just play golf.
But I was like going along. But no, that was tough there, like really difficult. So you got to play it like how they had it on the Sunday.
You got Sunday pins.
Sunday pins, like tournament tees, and I was like, wow, I have, not that I didn't already, but like a newfound respect for these players.
There you go.
Like,
You'll break
Olivia
90.
shooting 500, it's like, wow. That was unbelievable. So, yeah, it's good stuff. But no, anything else in terms of like your hobbies, what you get up to off the course?
In the gym, I feel like the hard thing for us is like when you get an off week, it's like you can take like 2 days off and then you still have to practice. It's like you don't really get to. I really want to go on holiday this year. Like I really want to go. So I'm like, okay, like maybe at the end of the year, close to Christmas, like I really want to go away. I do, like I love traveling. I love what we get to do, and I think when you're traveling as well, I try to see countries, like because I do like to see the different cultures and try the foods and all of that. So I feel like my hobbies are around being outside and eating food, honestly.
It's a good job for that.
Yeah.
And where is like your favorite travel destination then?
Oh, you know what? I actually love Thailand. Like I really want to go back. I'm hoping we have 2 events there at the end of the year. I love Thailand. Do you know what? I haven't been very many places I don't like, which I think is quite interesting. When people ask me that question, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to choose. I love Spain. Like it's close, the food's good, weather's good, people are nice, good courses. I feel like Spain's pretty hard to beat, and it's so close.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And any more rapid fire questions then, Nicola?
Let's do
We do like to on the podcast pick our guest's brain,
Rapid
a series
fire.
of rapid questions. So I think if we just go alternate here.
Based on what you've said, would you be beach or mountains?
I want them both.
Exactly.
Probably beach, because when I go on holiday, I want to relax.
Yeah.
And we always ask this one, but if you could have a dream 4-ball, so we'll go 3 playing partners for a 4-ball, who are you picking?
Tiger Woods. You're probably hearing the same ones all the time. Rory McIlroy. And I'm going to go Carlotta, because I think it will be girls versus boys, you know.
Nice. Links or Parkland?
Links is funner. Yeah, it's like a good challenge.
Yeah.
What is your favourite TV series, or what series are you watching at the minute?
Oh, I'm trying to find a good show. So if anybody's listening to this and they have a good show, please let me know. I would say Line of Duty. I absolutely love it. So good. I actually probably should go back and rewatch it. That would be something for now.
Did you ever see it being filmed?
No, I would love to think I would have been so starstruck. I love it.
Was it around here?
Yeah,
it's in
they filmed it in
Belfast.
Belfast.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
You need to watch it.
my
You need
God.
to
my
watch
mum always
it.
tells me.
Come on, no, Line of Duty. I discovered it by accident at uni, and I got hooked by series 2, which was so early.
Yeah.
And then by the time series 4, everybody was on it.
Oh,
so
it's
I was
like
oh,
popular. Yeah, it's like a must watch.
yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
In terms of music, what kind of music do you like to listen to?
Well, everyone jokes because I have this wide variety of music. Like Linn Grant actually sent me something on Instagram, and it was like when you get in the car, and it was like sad music, like happy music, rock music, rap music. I like it all. Like I like everything. Anything sort of like happy, upbeat most of the time. I like when you get in the car and you have a bit of a sing, and yeah, I like that. Poppy music probably.
So you were at ASU with Lynn at the same time, right?
Yes.
How was that? What was that friendship like?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously such a good player. I think it's so fun to see. That's a nice thing in college as well. You get to see how people practice. You're literally with each other 24/7. So I think that was really fun, you know, to get to see her play in practice. She's so good. So I was lucky. I had so many good teammates in college. Like Lexi's out here now, and Alessandra's out here, and Linnea, and Robbie's out in America. Like there's so many ASU girls, which is really nice. But I think, you know, when you're around each other, you can learn so much. So I think that was probably like the funnest part.
Yeah, and it must be great to see how obviously kicked on now. And
Yeah, it's so nice. It's so fun to see all the ASU girls do so good. So I think it's really, really fun when you play so much with someone and you get to see them go on to achieve great things.
yeah, absolutely. And do you have any golfing superstitions?
Like, you know, you say this, you're like, oh, I don't have any, but then like, you know, if you
Everyone has something.
yeah, like
Something, yeah.
I don't like. I'm not consistent with them. I'm not like I must do that. But like if I play really good the day before, I'm like I notice myself sort of try to do things like a wee bit similarly. So I guess that's something. But like I'm like no, it's fine. But like if I'm putting good, I'll use the same ball marker. You know, like I just feel like I'm more like I try to be consistent if I'm playing good. Like I want to do the same thing. I want to have the same breakfast. You know, which is a bit stupid, but that's probably it.
Yeah, I think ball markers is quite a common one,
Yeah,
isn't it? A lot of
ball
players
markers.
on
Like
tour.
if I putt bad with a ball marker, like it's gone. It might be the most beautiful ball marker, but
Yeah.
we're not using that one
Oh,
yet.
is that-
I was gonna say, what's the best ball marker you
Yeah.
I have a
have?
little pink heart. I do like that one.
We need to like collect them because I think on our tour, if like some of the styles and ball markers that we have are like really cool. I think
Yeah,
if
in college we used to
start-
get them for every round you shot under par. So we got like a lot
lot.
of nice ball markers. But like I don't really venture out too far from my pink heart unless I have a disaster on the greens.
Anymore. I did just think of one, but I've actually forgotten it.
all
So
that talk of ball markers.
yeah,
Yeah,
got distracted by the ball markers. I think that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah,
All good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Olivia, thank you for joining us, and obviously have a great week
Thank
here
you.
at home.
Thanks
We
for
wish
having
you
me.
best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
It's a competition clinching shot. Whoa! How about that?
The LET Golf Podcast, the official podcast of the Ladies European Tour.